Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Yesterday I was thinking what should I make my following video about? And I thought, guys, it's high time that I share some of the facts about myself and about my family. Okay, so the first thing about myself. You all know that my name is Marina, but a funny fact that in my family and among my friends, nobody calls me Marina. Like maybe a few people only. Mostly because in Russian language, it's a bit formal to call a person by its name the way it is. And people are usually using either short names, like short version of the names, or they are using a kinder, like softer version of the name. Like for example, there's a name John, but you can call John Johnny or Michael Mikey. You understand the difference here, right? So the same goes for the names that people use in Russia. So I'm either called Marishka, Marishenka, Marinочка, Marinka, and things like that. And the same is true for my family members. Let's talk about them. So you guys know that I'm married and I have two sons. My older son's name is George and he is 11 years old. And my youngest son is Alex, and he has just turned 9. So let's talk about their names a little bit. So my oldest son's name is George. In Russian, his name sounds like Georgi. It's a pretty long name, right? And the truth is that we have a lot of different short names for Georgi. For example, you can call him Gosha, Goga, Gio, Zhora, Yegor, and all of these will stand for Georgi. We choose to call him Gosha. So all his friends call him Gosha. Gosha or Goshenka among the family members, it's a softer kinder way of calling him. And as for my youngest son, he's not Alexander, so I call him Alex because that sounds very much like his Russian name, Alexei. We call him Alyosha or Alyoshenka or simply Lyosha. Yeah. So now we're coming to my husband's name. That's where it's a little bit complicated. My husband's name is Valery, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking Valery. Is it a girl's name? Well, in Russia we have both. We have a male version of the name and a female version. Valery, a male name, and Valeria, a female name. The same as Victor and Victoria, Alexander and Alexandra. Yeah. And I know it's always a bit confusing when we are outside of Russia, when we communicate with somebody who is non-Russian. So whenever we are traveling with a family, we simply call my husband Val. Like he's Val for everybody who's not Russian because it's simpler. So in my comments and in my subtitles, you will see that I simply call him Val to make things easier. So what else do you want me to tell you about? My age. I am 41 years old. Oh, I'm old. I'm old. Yeah. And I get married when I was almost 27. I got my first kid when I was 29, and the second one when I was 32. Yeah, so it went like this for me. By the way, in Russia, it is considered to be kind of a little bit late to get married, like I got married, and to have kids like that. Because I think actually, like when I was little, it was normal. It was average to get married when you were like 22, 23, and it is still like that. Like you should get married by the age of 25. Like that's an average age for getting married. But with time, I can see that the tendency, is actually shifting to to a different age. Now, most of the people actually do get married closer to 30 years old and after they are 30. So it's like that. Okay, what else I can tell you? Oh, about my appearance. My height is a meter 65 centimeters, and I weight approximately 59 kilos. Well, my weight shifted a bit from 58 to 60 61 kilos. Maybe it's not obvious when you look at me, but when I do get more weight, my cheeks become fluffier and I look like a little hamster. Hamster cheeks was always my problem since childhood. Yeah. Okay. So about my education, I studied. I entered school, like I began studying in school when I was in Russia, and I finished elementary school in Russia, and then my parents moved to work to South Korea, and I spent 4 years studying in South Korea. So first year I was in homeschooling with all my Russian textbooks and books and stuff. And later on, I studied in a school with Australian teachers in a private school, and then in an international Christian school where I had mostly American teachers. So that's my experience in schooling. Yeah. But I then moved back to Russia and I graduated school here in Russia, in Moscow. As for my higher education, I have a bachelor degree in marketing. So that's my higher education. By the way, it was my dad's idea for me to have such an education because after school, my idea was to become a dancer, to open up my dancing school. That was my passion, but my parents insisted on me having a more serious education, so that's how it went for me. After I graduated from the university, I was working for an airline company. I was working in Aeroflot, that's Russian Airlines. And no, guys, I was not a stewardess. I'm too short to be a stewardess. I was working in an international relations department, so I'm one of those people who sign contracts with other airlines, who cooperate with other airlines and stuff like that, and with the authorities as well, airline authorities. So, yeah, it went like this. I did used to work as a freelancer in a way. Um, when I got married and I didn't have kids yet, I was working as an interpreter. I was translating documents and contracts from English to Russian, from Russian to English for one of the airlines, not for Aeroflot, for another airline. And it was a pretty good job. I liked it because I didn't have to go anywhere from my place. I was waking up in the morning, turning on the button on my computer, and was ready to start working. That was like really great. And after I got my kids, after I had George, I was not working anymore because all of my time was occupied totally by my kids. I never sent my kids to kindergarten, by the way. It was my very well thought decision not to send them to kindergartens. So yeah, they were with me all the time. Simply because I decided that I waited for kids for such a long time. I really wanted to have them, and it was my decision to spend as much time with my kids as possible. To see them grow up, to teach them, to give them as much as I can of myself and my time and my attention and everything. So it was my decision for them to stay with me and not to go to kindergarten. But it doesn't mean that they only stayed with me. We attended different classes, different hobby classes and things like that for them to communicate with other kids, and we spend lots of time walking outdoors, playing outdoors on playgrounds with other kids. So they were not deprived of communication. One more thing about myself is that I have two older brothers. So I'm actually a third child, you know, the youngest one in the family. I consider myself to be a Russian person because I was born in Moscow, in Russia, and I'm speaking Russian. Like in my family, we're speaking Russian. I've studied in, well, not only in Russian school. Yes, I had experience studying in other countries, in other schools, but mostly, I'm immersed into Russian culture a lot. So I consider myself to be more a Russian person than a person of some other nationality. But if you look at my family, you would actually understand that I am half Ukrainian. My father is 100% Ukrainian. So that actually makes me Ukrainian, right? And as for my mom's situation here is much more difficult. She has Russian blood, Polish, Georgian, and Chinese. So it makes me a person that has five nationalities. And here I should say that in Russia, this is not an exception. It's nothing weird, because a lot of Russian people come from mixed families and they might have even more nationalities mixed in themselves. So this is something usual. And yes, both of my grandparents, I mean, from my mom's side, from my dad's side, they lived in Ukraine. Though my mom's parents, they do not come from Ukraine. They moved to live in Ukraine when they were like about 30 or something years old. Yeah. So both of them lived in Ukraine when they were still alive. And I remember visiting them every time whenever I had school holidays. On summer, I used to spend my summers in Ukraine, in the city of Chernigov. It's a very old city. It's mentioned in very, very old legends. It's much older than Moscow, and it's probably as old as Kiev, the Ukrainian capital. So, guys, yes, like I used to live in Moscow and in Chernigov quite a lot, but unfortunately, I do not speak Ukrainian, though I did have an experience of studying in Ukrainian school for about a month. Yeah, I can say that I'm Christian, but I cannot say that I'm totally a Russian Orthodox Christian because of my experience in religion, because of my, you know, of me studying in different schools, meeting different people. Like for example, I when I studied in private Australian school, my teachers were Adventists of the Seventh Day, and when I studied in school where I had American teachers in an international school, all of my teachers were Protestants. So I kind of absorbed a little bit from each of those Christian branches into something of my own. And I'm somewhere in between a Protestant and a Russian Orthodox. I don't know if I was able to explain it well, but that's the way it is. I do treat religion like maybe as serious as Russian Orthodox people do. I do like to visit Russian churches. I do feel very moved every time that I enter a Russian church. But at the same time, I'm not as serious as Russian Orthodox are. I'm I like to be more cheerful and more. I like to enjoy life to the full extent as possible, more like Protestants do. Yeah. So I don't know if you understood, but that's a rough explanation of my my religious beliefs. Yeah. Okay, so I guess I will be ending my video here. If you have any questions, if you want to know anything else about me, you're free to ask me questions in the comments and I will answer them for you, or like I will make a second part, a second video about facts on me and my family. So guys, take care of yourselves. Bye bye, and see you in my other videos. Love you.